Okay, I had forgot to record it. So if you're watching it on the recording, we've just gone through what we're starting to do on tonight's call, which is learning about how to let your mindset work and develop all areas of your life. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, and I was just saying how, initially when I started doing this, I was a little bit like, oh, I've got to, almost like a chore, I've got to dedicate 20 minutes this morning to do a bit of yoga or whatever. However, now I'm at the point where like I genuinely love doing it, and I know it's like the best thing to dedicate my time to. And this is why I love like our business like so much, because it is the reason that I started like on my mindset journey, and it's changed who I am as a person. It's changed how I feel on a day-to-day basis. It's changed, like, sounds quite dramatic, but it's changed like how I live my life, I suppose, and like my relationships with my kids, my relationship with my partner, like everything. So in my opinion, when someone quits our business, to me, that tells me that they did not embrace the mindset part, not fully, right? They kind of missed the entire point of what this business can do for you. And that's quite a scary concept, really, because that it's easy to do, isn't it? It's so easy to do, but I just think it's such a big point of the business. And when you hear like, top leaders speaking on stage, like they all come back to that. Like it's not about the money they've earned. It's not about the position they are. It's about the person they are at that position, earning that income. And when you work on your mindset and you focus on becoming the best version of you, that is exactly like what happens, isn't it? You do become the best version of you. And, if you go through things that are hard to handle, and if I have gone through stuff, since doing my business, loads of things in my personal life that have been difficult, and it's my mindset that gets me through it. So when someone says things like, oh, I need a break from my business because I've got a lot going on, like I know immediately that person has not been working consistently on their mindset. I know they haven't, because it's at those times of struggle, right, when everything becomes hard to handle, that the one thing I know I can do is my business. Like I might be like struggling to be a mum that day. I might be struggling to go to my teaching job day, but the one thing I can do is my business. And why is that? Because my business is my mindset. My mindset is my business. My mindset is my everything. I'm going to say that again. Okay. My business is my mindset. My mindset is my business, and my mindset is my everything. And that's the way you need to think about this, and the way you need to feel it. Okay. You become so powerful when you think like that, and you can basically you feel like you can do anything. And I can guarantee that anybody who's ever given up on a goal they were working towards, they just kind of gave up on themselves and they stopped working on themselves. And we do see it all the time, and when you hear people talk about like becoming obsessed with the business, like, oh, they're obsessed. They're not obsessed with the business. Like they're obsessed with how it makes them feel. It becomes bigger than the business, doesn't it? And they're probably obsessed with like how it helps them get over personal struggles. They literally apply their mindset to every aspect of their life, like every aspect. And if the thing is, if they didn't do that and didn't work on themselves and their mindset, they wouldn't see it as that, like almost that shining light. It wouldn't be seen as like that. They wouldn't be using their business to help them in all areas, And if you're always prioritizing and working on yourself and working on your mindset, your business will, I promise you, it will never be a burden to you. It never will. It will always be a blessing. And I honestly think that is the reason why I have never considered quitting this business. And I know I never will, because I never see it as a burden, even when there's stuff going on, even when it's busy or I'm stressed out. Like this is the one thing that it like pulls me in. It's like that shining light. But I honestly know it's only because I've embraced the whole concept of mindset. And when I say this all the time, I think people think I'm lying, but when I say I'd do this business if I didn't get paid, I honestly mean that. Like I really would, because I've grown to not necessarily want the money, but I want the way it improves all areas of my life. I want to be the person who embraces this business because I love the way it makes me feel. I love the person it makes me. And it makes me feel alive. And that's what people kind of come to feel. Right, I'm just going to check the chat because I know people are writing stuff in it. That's really weird. My 9-year-old daughter actually doesn't leave my side. Oh, last night I was trying to watch in bed and she said, listen to The Secret. Oh, that's so amazing. I love that. And do you know what? It's so true, because like So you all know Cece, my ridiculously crazy daughter. She loves like the whole mindset stuff. Like she'll say like the way she talks about herself and to other people, like obviously I don't like sit down and teach her mindset stuff, but she listens to what I listen to, and she'll listen to like me doing a call and stuff. And it does massively impact them. And I just think that I wish someone had taught me this when I was at school. I really, really wish that, because it's so powerful, isn't it? So I absolutely love that. And you know what, like if you decide to be someone, right, who makes a conscious effort, let's say, to, oh, hang on one sec, what's going on my computer? Oh God, hang on. What's it saying? Oh, it's fine. That was going to shut down. It's fine. Carry on. And if you're someone who you become someone who works on their mindset and makes like a conscious effort, like all the time, to look at life with positivity and opportunity, it doesn't mean that you don't go about your day as someone who, you know, spends 30 minutes in the morning doing affirmations and then you just carry on with the day-to-day things. Like that's, I think, where the turning point with this is, right? And that's where I think a lot of people, they don't quite get there, and they don't quite like get to that point. And when we see big leaders, like when we see like Danny and Ross and how they are as a person, like this is where I think they massively stand out, because you have to like truly let the whole concept like engulf you, right? So when we say like, oh, you know, you have to be someone who embraces the whole concept of mindset, you work on yourself, you believe in yourself to become, you know, the person you want to be in this business, in your life, all that kind of thing. It's like I said, it's not just a case of you being the same person you are like when you start, but you happen to do 30 minutes of mindset work in the morning. It's kind of like you have to let it like it guide you through your day, right? You have to, like I said, all aspects of your life, but all aspects of your day. And this took me a while to kind of understand and almost like develop. So, you know, how you handle different situations should be impacted, in my opinion, by the work you do on your mindset, you know? So when you are in a certain situation, whether it's at work or, you know, with your kids or whatever, you'll probably notice, not straight away, but after a while, you will handle those situations differently, because you are somebody who understands mindset and you work on it, you know? And it's little things like, you know, if I'm at work and someone says something, and, you know, obviously we can't always control like other people's actions. And I think particularly if you're someone in this business and you have another job, often things at your other job become quite obvious to you that weren't before, you know, the way people are, the way they're different. Like people are very different to us in this business. And I know that I handle situations differently because of the way I work on myself, and it has like kind of engulfed my whole life, if that makes sense. And, you know, kind of let it develop all areas of your life. Like don't be afraid to do that. Like how I deal with my children as a mum is better because of the work I've done on myself, you know, like, and I know I've spoken to other people in the business before who feel the same. You know, when you've got kids and you might feel like you shout at them or you lose your patience with them, it's so easy, but I actually feel much calmer with them because of the work I've done on my mindset. So again, it comes back to that whole concept. If you let it embrace like all aspects of you and your life, it becomes like a gift that you've got, rather than like something you do because you have to do it because it's your work, it's your business, if that makes at all sense. And, you know, it's things like, you know, even the way I am with like my partner, with other people, or if someone winds me up with little things, right? Like this morning I was driving to work and this car like just, it was my right of way, but I just kind of carried on going, and this car like just like came at me and I was like, oh, and I just like slammed my brakes on. And I know before, like maybe even a year ago, I would have been like, oh my God, and got like quite annoyed. And I just sat there and I was like, okay. And I just reversed back, and this person in the car was like so aggressive, like so angry, and like kind of like shouting at me. Obviously the windows, I couldn't hear what they're saying. And at that moment I was like, this is exactly the difference. Like this person, I can guarantee, probably doesn't work on themselves at all, because they have all that like hatred like built up in them for like literally the smallest scenario, whereas I used to get frustrated like that, and without even meaning to, this morning I just naturally dealt with it in a calmer way because of how I work on myself each day. And it's that kind of thing, like you'll probably notice it. And that's what I mean by, you know, when you kind of develop it further, it's not just about you are someone who happens to write affirmations every morning, because that's great and that's the starting point. But try and think about, as you're going through day to day, the little things like how it can impact your day differently, whether it is you with the kids, whether it's you at work, you know, little things like, I think someone's just put in the chat, haven't they, about is it a car parking space? Yeah, honestly, like it was really funny. I went to this farm park with I've got a younger sister, she's only like 13, and I took her there with my two kids, and it was loads of cars, and I was like, oh, I said it can be quite busy, and I went, but it's okay, we are gonna find a car park space. And I was like saying law of attraction and stuff, and we pulled in and a car pulled out and a space was there, and she was like, oh my God. I was like, I told you. But it is true, like it is really true when you do stuff like that, you know, it can like literally affect everything. I always say it all the time to Adrian, he's like, oh, whatever, don't sweat the small stuff. Yes, I actually haven't read that, but I've heard that is an amazing book and it's on my list to get, actually, so absolutely. And I think, you know, this is why, like I said, I would never necessarily see like my business as being a chore, because it's not, is it? Because it's helping me in so many different ways that I would never even have imagined before. And I think this is the whole like point we've got to get, because it's bigger than us and it's bigger than our business. Yes, we work on ourselves because we want to be better at our business, but if you just do it for that reason, I personally think at some point you'll get fed up with it. It'll become a burden and you just won't do it. And then when you don't do it, you get less self-belief. Your business may drop, which it does, and you haven't got the self-belief to pick yourself up. So it's like a big vicious circle. I just think it all like interlinks to, and it all comes back to the same thing, doesn't it? And you know what? Like if you work on yourself daily, people honestly like will notice a difference. Like they will 100% notice a difference in who you are as a person, and they will see that you are changing, and that will make them take you and your goals more seriously, you know. And it is, and this business is hard in that way, because when we start out, like I said the other night's call, we are the minority who are doing this online business. It's very different. It's not the normal way of earning money. People love to have an opinion, and like we always say, you have to have a bit of a thick skin with this, which you do. And I think sometimes people are almost waiting for you to quit. You know, I had this with people, particularly at work, being like, oh, I wonder how long that pyramid scheme will last, all those classic comments. And when they realize actually, like I wasn't just earning money from social media, I was becoming a different version of me, like the next level version of me, and I was becoming a different person. They like, anybody who was trying to whine about it just totally left me alone, because they kind of couldn't relate to it anymore. And B, they took it a lot more seriously, and they were like, oh, and even things like, you know, family members, like they like, Adrian will he takes it very serious now. He knows that this business is what I do, because I'm not just committed to doing it by saying, oh, I've opened a franchise with Juice Plus and I'm sharing social media. I am changing who I am as a person. And again, that's how you have to look at it, you know, like it's about you becoming a different version of you. And we say it all the time, don't we? Like, oh, you know, the person you are when you start this business is not going to be the person you are when you hit senior or even partner plus, senior partner, SE. Every position you have to become a different version, like not saying that better in terms of you weren't great anyway, but like the next level version of you, right? You have to get uncomfortable in a certain way. So what you have to think is, if you're going to become the next level version of you to hit your next position, how are you doing that? And how is all aspects of your life changing, you know? And it's not just about the position you're becoming, it's about how you are dealing with everything as a person. And it's this kind of thing, and people will notice that. People will notice that you are changing. And do you know what? If you ever have people where they maybe say things like, oh, you've changed, it's like, that's the point. That's exactly the point. And people who love you will support you, you know, like there have been people in my life who've been like, oh, I just don't get it. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, I don't need your approval. You don't even need to be a part of it. And I have deleted people off Facebook because of it. And that's where we make that conscious effort. You know, you're on this journey. People haven't got to do the same as you. Like, and this is what I found frustrating at the start as well. When I was aware that I had to like let it kind of engulf all areas of my life, which, you know, like I just said, we kind of have to, because we become different. I then found it very difficult to accept that like my partner wasn't doing the same thing in terms of he wasn't doing his affirmations, all that kind of thing. And I think for a while I used to try and make him do it. I did try to make him do it and was like, come on, we need to do affirmations. And what I've come to realize is people don't have to be on that journey with you in the same way. It's enough for them to see that you are on it, because if you are changing yourself and you are, changing the habits you have, it will, I promise you, it will have an effect on them. And I actually said this to Danny in the taxi in London when we were talking about this. And I said, obviously, Adrian's very supportive of my business, but he doesn't do the mindset stuff. But he actually has said, when we were visiting family in London, he's turned to like his brother-in-law and said, oh, do you know what? Like, actually, as a family, we've become so much better because of the mindset work Ellie does, because it rubs off on all of us. And I was like, that's so nice. And it's true. Like, you don't have to change people. They don't have to do what you do. But as a result of you doing this, things will change, and you kind of just you almost have to be like the driving force, because you are the one on this journey, not your partner, not your mum, your dad, or your best friend, or whoever. It's you. And it's okay if they don't fully understand it, but they will support you if they love you. And if people are giving you grief about it and don't like the fact you're changing, you're saying all this stuff, then it's a hard lesson to learn, but maybe that you just don't really need them. The people, like I said, who support you will support you whatever. And never, ever be embarrassed to be someone who is working on themselves. Because I think this is the thing as well, isn't it? Like when we first start this whole concept, and, if I had sat and listened to the recordings I've done the last few days 3 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, no, I can't do that. Because it's that worry, isn't it, about what other people think. But you should be proud of it. You should be so, so proud that you are in a business that like requires you to work on yourself, which it does, and B, that you are actually having the courage to do that. And, you're kind of standing out from the crowd and saying, do you know what, actually, I am working on myself, but I'm not just doing it for my business. I'm doing it because I want to be a better person, a better mum, maybe a better partner. I want to feel happy in my day-to-day life. And that's what we're trying to achieve with this, isn't it? The whole concept of mindset is you feeling happier and better in everything you are doing, because we all know, we've all had times in our business where when you feel rubbish and you feel bad, your business goes bad. And it's because we are our business. It's us. Yeah, we are it. I know we sell Juice Plus, but that's not, you can buy Juice Plus online. People buy into you. So you have to feel good. And that reflects in every aspect of what you're doing and of your life, and that's why you have to relate this to every aspect and deal with every situation that you come across in the day as that extraordinary person we spoke about yesterday and how they would deal with it, and show other people. Like, and again, this is where you'll probably get people who, and I've had this in the past, where people have watched you in the business and then they come back to you and say, oh, like, you've been on such a journey, like, it's so inspiring, like, I'd love to do that. And people, when they watch you do that, they'll see that you've gone from this person who was here at this point, and you're changing all the time. And a big thing was when I went to Danny and Ross's event and obviously spoke on stage, I had a few people be like, oh, it was so amazing to see you speak on stage. And they obviously, I've watched your whole journey, you've started this business, that kind of thing. And even if they don't join my team or order products with me, like they've seen it, they're supporting, and they might know someone who, is saying, oh, I feel really rubbish. Like, I feel like I'm a mom and I've got nothing for myself. They might say, oh my God, do you know what? I follow this person on social media. She's gone from being a mom who had nothing in terms of like for her, obviously had stuff, but nothing to do for her. And now she's got this amazing business, and they're going to share that journey. So don't ever feel like, oh, you shouldn't be proud of it. People want to see how you've become as a person. And, that's why it's always important to relate back to who you were. And do you know what? Because I've been so set on the fact that, I am someone who is working on myself every day to become the next level version of me. Like, I know that every part of my life, in terms of people that are in it, they know that. And it was really funny actually today, because to cut a long story short, basically I'm a PE teacher. They want me to do my minibus test, which I'm shitting my pants about because I can barely drive our car. And I said to them, I said, just an FYI. Obviously, they said, oh, what? This is just my line manager, who I'm quite good friends with. He was like, oh, is your long-term plans like you're not going to go to the school, you're going to stay here, right? And I was like, well, for now, yeah, but obviously I'm be doing my business full time in the not too far future. And he was like, oh yeah, good point. And do you know what? 3.5 years ago, he'd have been like, whatever, what are you gonna be selling Juice Plus full time? He honestly would have laughed. But he's seen me and do this business for the last 3.5 years. And when I said to him, like when I first started, and I was like, oh, do you know what, I'm going to do this online business, and I'm going to be able to go back to like this job part-time because of it. And he was probably like, oh, whatever. And I did that. And then when he was like, oh, you're actually earning like decent money, I was like, yeah, it's going quite well. I'm hoping to be earning like £1,000 a month soon. When I did that, he was like, oh my God, like, yes, she's, and he was like, oh, do you honestly do your mindset every day? And I was like, yeah, every day. And then he saw me then say, oh yeah, I'm going to hit this promotion, I'm going to earn this bonus. And he saw me do it. And so now, like, as he's seen me believe in myself and prove that I'm believing in myself, like, he believes it too, right? And that's so powerful. And that's what you have to remember, you know, and let it kind of improve day-to-day stuff. Okay, so I'm aware of the time. I honestly don't know where the time goes on these calls. I want us to do a little task all together now. I want us to think about, and if you've got a pen or paper, please grab one. I want us to basically think about a situation, you know, in your life where it could be like where, I don't know, you've a situation as being a mom, like with the kids. It could be where maybe you've had a family member pass away, or a family member become really poorly, a relationship breakdown, or just a situation, okay, within your life that was quite hard, let's say, and was maybe like a bit of a dark time for you. You don't have to share this. Obviously you can, if you want me, have to share it. Just jot it down on some paper. And you might have been in the business when this happened, and maybe it could be past, it could be current, whatever, just something that's happened to you, a personal thing that's nothing to do with your business, but it's something that for you was like a difficult time, let's say, you know, like a really hard time, and that really like tested you, you know, those times where you just like, you struggle to maybe like, I don't know, you maybe struggle to get up in the mornings. It could be that you had like postnatal depression or something, just a time that was really hard. And when you've got that in your mind or written down, I want you to then, and like I said, you might have been in the business when it happened and you might not have, but I want you to think about or write down like a few pointers, or could be like words, could be like bullet points about how working on your mindset each day and showing up in your mindset each day would have helped you deal with that situation. So just that. So it doesn't have to be about your business, but you showing up in terms of, you know, each day you would talk positively to yourself, perhaps in the mirror. You would say, do a bit of meditation, do a mantra. Obviously, it depending on how, if you were poorly, you might not be able to get up and do yoga or whatever, but, you know, you could do something like write out your affirmations. Just, you know, the kind of things we spoke about that I do in the morning that I think is really important to help you. Just write down. So it might be, you know, for example, if it's one where you've had a relationship breakdown, maybe like that's quite a one that I think a lot of people probably have been through. You know, how would, if you got up every day and you worked on yourself, in terms of your mindset, how would that help you deal with that situation? I'm just going to check the chat because I know someone's jotted something in it. Moving to a new location. Yeah, absolutely. So and maybe think about how you felt, right? So at that time that you're describing, what were you feeling? How were you feeling? And maybe you can remember exactly, like, I think we do remember, don't we? Like those times where we struggled, and you can probably remember like how you felt, that kind of thing. Like I know that, so I'll share one of my, I feel I've got many, but one of mine that I remember quite clearly was after when I had my little boy, Sonny. I never got diagnosed. I never went to the doctor, but I think I probably had a bit of postnatal depression. And I remember just feeling like I wasn't enough, like my children would be better off without me, and like I wasn't enough, like I wasn't enough with it. And I obviously was in the business, and that was just before my business really boomed. And I remember every day I did my mindset routine every single day without fail. And I honestly believe that is the reason I didn't go to a doctor, because I didn't need to, because I was like, right, I'm feeling really rubbish. And I remember vividly, in fact, Jenna and Sam, if you're on, you'll remember this, I put this desk of it now, I actually had in our lounge downstairs. So I was like, I need a desk area, like it's stressing me out, but nowhere to work. And I put it in the lounge downstairs. And then that was like my working space for a little bit, but then the kids took over and I moved upstairs. But anyway, I remember sitting at that desk, and I remember like, just feeling this awful feeling of like feeling like I wasn't enough and I was being a rubbish mum. And, you know, I think it's because Cece was like struggling to get to grips having a new baby. Sonny was feeding all the time. I remember sitting at my desk, like holding my head in my hands, like crying, and Adrian being like, oh my God, like, are you okay? Like, and I was like, and I couldn't explain why I felt like it. And I was like, I just feel really rubbish. And I was sitting there, and I got a notebook out and I journaled about 10 pages. Like, God knows what I wrote, just 10 pages. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And I did that every single day. And, you know, eventually like it took a little bit of time, but I was okay. And because I had my mindset stuff every day to focus on and my business every single day, I honestly can tell you that is the reason why I got through it without, you know, and, you know, obviously if you have to, that's fine. But I felt like I didn't need to, because I found that strength like in me. And I think that really helps build resilience in yourself. And, you know, you may have gone through stuff before you were in this business, and you might be thinking, do you know what? I wish actually I had this business at that point. Because when you go through these things, that's when you have a choice, isn't it? Do you deal with it in a positive way because you work on yourself, or do you give up? And, you know, you're going to go, I'm sure we're all going to go through other things in the future that test us, that are difficult in terms of our personal life. And now you have this business, and now you have a reason to work on yourself because you are in this business. Let that help you, you know, let it engulf your entire way you are, your entire being, let's say, so that when you come across these struggles in the future, your immediate reaction is not, I'm going to have to stop doing my business because I can't possibly show up and be a jolly person. Like, you don't have to be like that, but you have to kind of embrace the whole mindset concept. And even if you have a day, right, where, and if Danny's on, she'll shoot me, where you're like, I can't do anything for my business. Like, you know, I've always done I've always done my DMO every single day, but I can tell you now, if I ever was feeling like that, where I couldn't, or I was like, oh, for whatever reason, you know, I can tell you the one thing I would do would be work on my mindset. Because if you do that, the next day you are 100% more likely to get up and do your DMO. And that's the way you have to think about it. You know, think about these things you're going through or that you might go through and bring it back to your mindset. I'm just going to check the chat. And you know what, Sam, I'm sure she won't remember saying this because she just shared it in the chat. But so yeah, when Sam, when was it now, Sam? I can't remember. Where did you put when it was? In June. Yeah. So Sam's granddad passed away in June. And I remember, and I said to myself, I was like, Sam's like, this is either gonna like make or break Sam within this business. And I never said this to her, but I was like, I know that this, if she's gonna quit this business, she's going to quit now. And I was like praying, being like, please don't quit, Sam, please don't give up yourself, please don't give up yourself, because she's amazing and I know she's going to be a PMD plus one day. And I remember thinking, and I was like, I'm sure she won't. I'm sure she won't. I'm sure she won't. And I just used to drum into her, like, work on your mindset, work on your mindset. And she's probably like, hey, piss off. But she did it. She worked on herself. And I know now she is so much stronger than she was because she chose to work on herself. And it's such a good example of this, you know, and you've probably all got scenarios like this where you've held on. And when you think about this and you reflect on this, it actually, in my opinion, when you do things like this, it makes you kind of realize, actually, do you know what? You are amazing. And you have already been through so much shit that could have like knocked you down and you have not let it. And remember that. And when you're having a bad day where you're feeling like, you know, you can't get your DMO done or you're feeling stressed, just remember like the kind of the storms you've been through and how you've used your mindset to get yourself through it. And if you were ever feeling like you are struggling, or like when I feel like that, if I ever feel like, oh God, I'm struggling a little bit, like when at the start of this year, when my business dropped, I was like, I've just got to work on my mindset more and become stronger so that I can deal with these knockbacks and these setbacks so that they don't break me. You know, I become, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And that's how you have to think. So I hope that was useful. I'm just going to click to stop recording.